Deep beneath the waves, where sunlight dances in fleeting patterns on the ocean floor, lived a young mermaid whose heart was filled with an insatiable curiosity. Unlike her sisters, who were content with the wonders of their undersea kingdom, she dreamed of a world she had only ever glimpsed from afar, the world above the water. Her imagination was a canvas painted with images of strange two-legged creatures, vast green lands, and a sky that changed from the brightest blue to a tapestry of starry diamonds. Every piece of wreckage that drifted down from the surface was a treasure, a clue to the life she longed to understand. She would spend hours poring over these curios, trying to piece together the story of the world above. One evening, as twilight painted the sky in shades of purple and gold, a magnificent sight caught her eye. A grand ship, adorned with countless lanterns that glowed like fallen stars, sailed gracefully across the calm surface. Drawn by its brilliance, she swam closer, her tail propelling her silently through the water until she could see the figures on its deck, and among them, one stood out. He was a young prince, with a kind smile and eyes that seemed to reflect the joy of the celebration around him. From the moment she saw him, she was utterly captivated. She watched from the shadows of the waves as he laughed and spoke with his companions, a strange and wonderful feeling blossoming in her chest. The ship was alive with music and laughter. It was the prince's birthday, and the entire vessel was a floating festival of joy. Colorful banners fluttered in the gentle breeze, and the melody from the musicians on deck carried across the water, a sound so different from the songs of the sea. The mermaid watched, mesmerized, as the prince moved through the crowd, his presence radiating warmth and happiness. He seemed unaware of the pair of curious eyes observing him from the dark water below. For the little mermaid, this glimpse into his world was both thrilling and heart-wrenching. She admired him from a distance, her heart filled with a wonder she had never known, a silent spectator to a life she could only dream of joining. But the ocean is as unpredictable as it is beautiful. Without warning, the sky began to change. Dark, heavy clouds rolled in, swallowing the stars and casting a menacing shadow over the sea. The gentle breeze escalated into a fierce, howling wind that whipped the waves into a frenzy. The ship's lanterns flickered wildly before being extinguished by the spray, plunging the celebration into darkness and chaos. The once joyful music was replaced by the terrifying roar of the storm. The ship groaned and creaked under the immense pressure, its tall mass straining against the violent gusts of wind. As panic erupted on deck, joy had turned to terror in an instant. The storm showed no mercy. Towering waves, like angry giants, crashed against the ship's wooden hull. The sound of splintering wood echoed across the tumultuous sea as the vessel began to break apart under the relentless assault. The force of the impact threw sailors into the churning black water, their cries for help lost in the thunderous roar. The prince, who had been trying to help his crew secure the sails, was knocked off his feet by a colossal wave that swept across the deck. He fought to stay afloat in the chaotic waves, but the sea was too strong, and soon he was pulled under, disappearing into the dark, cold depths. Seeing the prince vanish beneath the waves, the little mermaid felt a surge of courage overcome her fear. Without a moment's hesitation, she dove into the heart of the storm. She navigated through the treacherous debris of the wrecked ship, her powerful tail cutting through the violent currents. Her only thought was to find him. After a frantic search, she saw his unconscious form drifting deeper into the abyss. She swam to him swiftly, gathering him into her arms, holding him close. She began her desperate journey back to the surface. Her determination, a small but powerful light in the overwhelming darkness of the storm. As she broke through the surface, the storm began to subside, giving way to the first gentle light of dawn. The mermaid, exhausted but resolute, swam toward the distant shore, cradling the prince carefully. She brought him to a quiet cove, laying him gently on the soft, wet sand. Just beyond the reach of the tide, she brushed the wet hair from his face, her heart aching with a mixture of relief and sadness. She stayed by his side, watching over him as the sun rose higher, painting the sky with the soft colors of a new day. She wished he would wake up, just so she could see his eyes open. But she knew she could not linger. Just as the sun's warmth began to touch his skin, the sound of voices drifted from a nearby temple. A group of young women, walking along the beach, spotted the prince lying on the sand. They rushed to his side, their voices filled with concern. As they tended to him, the prince's eyes fluttered open. He looked around, dazed and confused, his memory of the shipwreck a chaotic blur. He searched the faces around him, and then looked out to the sea, feeling a vague sense of a gentle presence, a soft melody in his memory. But he saw no one. He never knew that his savior was a mermaid from the deep, hidden behind a large rock. The little mermaid watched as the prince was helped to his feet. She saw him smile, a look of gratitude on his face, as the people from the temple cared for him. A wave of relief washed over her, knowing he was safe. Yet her joy was tinged with a deep sorrow. He was alive, but he was part of a world she could not enter, and he would never know who had saved him. Her heart felt as if it were breaking, caught between the happiness of his survival and the pain of their separate worlds. With one last lingering look, she knew it was time to leave. With a heavy heart, she turned away from the shore and slipped silently back into the cool embrace of the ocean. As she dove deeper, beams of sunlight pierced the water's surface, creating shimmering patterns that seemed to dance around her like fleeting memories. The world above was now more than just a dream. It was a tangible place, filled with both wonder and heartache. The face of the handsome prince was etched into her mind, and the brief moments she had spent with him had changed her forever. She returned to her home in the depths, but her spirit remained on the shore, her thoughts consumed by the prince and the world he represented. Her silent goodbye was not an end, but the beginning of a powerful yearning. What will the little mermaid do with this newfound, impossible love? Her desire to see the prince again grows stronger with each passing day. Find out in our next episode, The Mermaid's Wish, where she makes a choice that will change her destiny forever. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more magical fairy tales. We'll see you next time.